The Valdrine cruiser hung in orbit like a metallic cathedral, its hull shimmering with quantum-locked plating that had never been breached in 3,000 years of galactic history. Inside the Human Research Station's observation deck, Ashley pressed her palm against the reinforced viewport, watching the alien vessel with a mixture of awe and frustration. "It's impossible," she muttered, running her fingers through her dark hair. As the station's chief xenotechnology officer, she had spent 6 months trying to interface with the abandoned Valdrine ship. Every attempt had failed spectacularly. The security system was adaptive, evolutionary, and, according to every expert in the known systems, absolutely impenetrable. "Nothing's impossible," came a voice from behind her. Ashley turned to find Alex wiping grease from his hands with an oil-stained rag. He wore the standard-issue gray jumpsuit of the station's maintenance crew, his name patch barely visible beneath layers of accumulated grime from the reactor tubes he'd been fixing all morning. "Alex, this isn't like bypassing a jammed airlock," Ashley said, though not unkindly. She'd always respected the mechanic's unconventional thinking, even if his lack of formal education made the other scientists dismiss him. "This is Valdrine technology. Their security systems use quantum entanglement matrices that respond to unauthorized access by increasing complexity exponentially." Alex shrugged, approaching the viewport. "I heard you talking about it in the mess hall. Seems to me you're thinking about it like a computer system." "Because it is a computer system," Ashley replied, pulling up a holographic display of their failed access attempts. Hundreds of red error messages floated in the air between them, the most sophisticated in the galaxy. But who programmed it? The Valdrine, obviously. And what are they? Ashley frowned. They were organic beings. Carbon-based, actually. Similar neural structure to humans, though far more advanced. Alex nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the distant starship. "So an organic brain designed that security system. Which means it thinks like an organic brain, not like a computer. That's an oversimplification, is it?" Alex interrupted gently. He pointed at the holographic error logs. "Look at your approach. Every time you try to hack in, the system gets more complex. It's defending itself. Like an immune system." Ashley's breath caught. She'd been so focused on the quantum mechanics, the encryption algorithms, the technological marvel of it all, that she'd missed the obvious biological parallel. "You think it's treating our access attempts like an infection?" "I think," Alex said, pulling a small multi-tool from his pocket, "that you've been trying to break in. Maybe we should try knocking instead." 3 hours later, Ashley and Alex floated in the station's docking bay, suited up and tethered to the airlock. The station commander had been surprisingly willing to let them try, probably because 6 months of failure had made everyone desperate for new ideas. "This is insane," Ashley said through her helmet comm, though excitement crept into her voice. "We're going to physically approach an alien warship based on a mechanic's hunch?" "Not a hunch," Alex replied, activating his maneuvering thrusters. "Logic, come on." They crossed the void between station and starship, the Valdrine cruiser growing larger with each passing moment. Up close, the quantum plating seemed almost alive, rippling with iridescent patterns that hurt to look at directly. Alex pulled out a simple handheld plasma torch, the kind used for welding hull breaches, and adjusted it to its lowest setting. Ashley watched, bewildered, as he began tapping against the hull in a rhythmic pattern. "Not cutting, not burning, just tapping. What are you doing?" "Knocking," Alex said simply. He continued the pattern, 3 short taps, 3 long, 3 short. Then he waited. Nothing happened. Ashley was about to suggest they return to the station when the hull beneath Alex's hand suddenly rippled. A seam appeared in the quantum plating, not blasted open, not hacked through, but opened. Like a door recognizing a guest. "How did you—" Ashley couldn't finish the sentence. Alex grinned inside his helmet. "SOS Universal Distress Signal. I figured if the Valdrine were explorers, they'd have some kind of first contact protocol built into their systems. The security wasn't meant to keep everyone out forever, just hostiles and threats. We weren't threatening it, we were asking for help." They entered the starship together, emergency lighting flickering to life along the corridors. The interior was vast, with architecture that seemed to shift perspective depending on where you looked. But more importantly, console after console began activating, responding not to hacking attempts but to simple, curious touches. Ashley approached the main command interface, her hands trembling. The symbols on the screen were alien, but they began rearranging themselves, slowly forming patterns she could almost understand. The ship was teaching her its language. "It's not locked anymore," she whispered. "It's welcoming us." Alex floated beside her, still holding his simple plasma torch. People build fancy locks to keep out thieves, but they also build doorbells for friends. You just have to know which one to use. Over the following weeks, Ashley and her team would unlock secrets that revolutionized human technology. The Valdrine had left behind not just a ship, but a library, medical advances, propulsion systems, cultural archives spanning millennia. It was the greatest discovery in human history. But it all started with a mechanic who understood something the scientists had forgotten. That technology, no matter how advanced, was ultimately created by thinking beings, and thinking beings, organic or otherwise, responded better to respect than force, to requests than demands, to knocking than breaking down doors. The galaxy would learn in time that humans possessed a unique gift, not superior technology or fiercer warriors, but an uncanny ability to see the obvious solutions that others overlooked. They called it human intuition, though Alex just called it common sense. As news of the discovery spread through human space and beyond, a new phrase began circulating among alien civilizations: never underestimate the humans. They'll solve your impossible problems with duct tape and audacity. Alex, meanwhile, returned to fixing the station's reactor tubes, quietly satisfied that sometimes the simplest answer was the right one. After all, he was just a mechanic, but he was a human mechanic, and that made all the difference.